What's up, guys? It's Tony from Streetball Strategies, where we use strategy to build your streetball legacy. Today we're talking about load management. First of all, forgive the hood, guys. It's windier out here than I had expected, and it's January, so I'm just happy I'm able to be out on the court and I'm not snowed out. So I know it doesn't look great, but moving past that, for those of you who don't know what load management is, it's where players restrict their playing time and possibly their training time in order to keep their bodies fresh and avoid injury. Load management has become more widely known and used over the last few years, and it's especially associated with the NBA. And my personal opinion about load management is that professional players are paid to win basketball games. Especially NBA players are way overpaid to win basketball games. And it's hard to win games if you're not playing in them. But as it relates to streetball players, streetball is the roughest, most taxing form of basketball you can play. Because NBA players, number one, they're paid to play. Number two, they have a training staff in-house that are responsible for taking care of their bodies, and they also play on hardwood. Hardwood is more forgiving on your body because it's wood, even though it's hard, and it's engineered for basketball movements, for basketball play. Especially in comparison to hardwood, streetball courts of asphalt and concrete and blacktop are just terrible for your body in terms of longevity. One of the reasons Streetball Strategies was created was so that I could help you guys avoid mistakes I've made in my past. And for those of you who don't know, or in case I haven't mentioned it before, I'm actually retired from streetball. And it's because in my 20s, I ran my body into the ground. I was either playing streetball or training for streetball and hardly ever resting and letting my body rest and recuperate and recover. And because of that, I ran my body into the ground and I retired at 28. So when I bring up the subject of load management in accordance with streetball, trust me that I know what I'm talking about. As streetball players, we have three kinds of days. We have practice days, game days, and rest days. So for each of those kinds of days, we figure out how to implement load management into each one. First, the most obvious being rest day. So rest day is just that. You are resting your body and possibly your mind, your mental state on those days. I made the mistake as a teenager and in my 20s that I would use rest days as I wouldn't play ball that day, but I would do some other form of physical, high-intensity training in its stead. And that was a mistake. On rest day, just rest. Don't be worried about anything else. If you feel like you need a mental break as well, that's perfectly fine. I usually suggest that on rest days you do something mentally engaging in terms of study game film, watch NBA players, NBA games, study them, stuff like that. But if you find yourself to be mentally fatigued as well as physically fatigued, then go ahead and just do other things that you love, other hobbies and passions that you have to utilize your time on a rest day. You don't have to think about basketball on those days, and you should definitely be physically resting on days that you have designated as a rest day. As for practice days, when it comes to load management for your practices, the way you work that in is by varying the kind of practice that you do. So you vary what you're practicing, and you vary the intensity of the things that you're practicing. For example, some days you're going to be doing plyometrics as a practice day or a training day. And then other days you're going to be shooting free throws as a practice day. Or you'll be working on balance or weight distribution or something that doesn't require you to be physically explosive on that day. Some days you'll just be working on things that are subtle and precise and skill-based, and they don't require you to be making these huge explosive movements. Those things require precision and patience, and they may not be super flashy or super sexy like plyometrics where you're trying to increase your vertical leap, but it's those small things like weight distribution and balance and how you pivot and how you do small foot movements. Those are the things that are going to separate you from the other players on the court who actually have talent. Players who already have a decent jumping ability, they will practice things like plyometrics, and because they have decent talent when it comes to jumping, that's probably all they're going to focus on. They won't work on weight distribution, they won't work on balance. Those things will be overlooked because they are moderately talented in jumping, and so they only work on things like plyometrics, whereas you work on everything and you make everything precise, and in doing so, that's how you close the gap between your talent and theirs. The point being that not all practice has to be physically exhausting. If you're scheduled to have a practice day and you're feeling kind of run down that day, go ahead and do something that is low intensity, something that's not going to require your body to be super explosive that day. And have drills and routines already planned for yourself so that on days when you plan to practice hard but you feel run down, you already have drills planned and routines planned that don't require you to be physically explosive that day. You can still practice while doing things that are low intensity and work on precision that don't require you to exhaust your body. There's a difference between giving 100% effort and exhausting yourself, which brings me to the third kind of day, which is game day. Now, you can't really load manage a game day, right? You can't play as hard as you possibly can halfway, right? On game days, you just play as hard as you can for the time that you're on the court. So you can't really load manage that. What you can do, however, is not play 5, 6, 7 hours on a game day. There's a reason why NBA games are 2.5 hours long. There's a reason why NFL games are 3.5 hours long once a week. It's because there's a sweet spot somewhere between 2 hours to 3 hours where your body can perform at its peak while you give 100% effort. Around the 3-hour mark, your body will start to fatigue and you will start to get wear and tear on your muscles, even if you don't necessarily feel it. At about that 3-hour mark is when your performance will start to decline. And even if you're young and in great shape and your body still feels really fresh, trust me that somewhere between the 2 and 3 hour mark is when your body does start to fatigue. You do start to get wear and tear on your muscles and your performance starts to dip after a while. So on game days, try to keep your appearance and your performance on game days to somewhere between 2 and 3 hours. Now, don't get me wrong, marathon game days are great and they feel great and they are good for your basketball soul. Being out on the court 5, 6, 7 hours a day can be great. It can feel great. It can be great for you. Just don't do them every week. Reserve them for maybe once or twice a month. Other than that, the 2 to 3 hour mark is the best time frame for preserving your body. So with those being our 3 kinds of days when it comes to implementing load management, I would say try to make a circuit out of those days. So again, we have practice day, game day, and rest day. The way I would approach creating a circuit for those days would be have practice day first, then have your game day, and then you rest after game day. So it would go practice, game, rest, right? And then repeat. And so you have 3 days, you repeat them, that gives you 6 days where you have practice, game, rest, practice, game, rest. That's 6 days out of the week. So what do you do with the 7th day? Well, I would say on the 7th day, you do whatever you feel like you need the most. So If in one of your game days you find something that you did that you feel like you need practice on, if that's the most important thing that has come to your attention in those 6 days, then use that 7th day for a practice day. If on the 7th day you feel tired and fatigued, then use it as a rest day. And then if you feel fine, and if there's nothing that you feel you really need to work on, then use that 7th day as a game day. What you should do is vary those days. That 7th day should get variation. So you shouldn't always rest, or you shouldn't always practice, or you shouldn't always play. The temptation is going to be that 7th day you're always going to play. And that temptation should be avoided. It's fine to play sometimes, but you should vary what you use that 7th day for. So that's how we make as much improvement as we can, as fast as we can, while preserving our longevity as streetball players. If 20 years ago you would have told me I have 2 options. Option A is you can play high quality streetball for 15 years and then your body will be used up and you'll be done. Or option B is you can play high quality streetball for 20 plus years. You just won't be able to play as often as you get older. I would have taken option B easily. But I didn't really know option B existed because the concept of load management didn't really exist 20 years ago. I wish I'd known about it. I wish I had understood the impact it could have had on my game, and thus I'm trying to help you guys avoid that mistake that I made with my own career. As always, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys found it helpful. This is a big topic. It's a very important topic, something that shouldn't be underestimated for its importance. So if you found this helpful, please go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel so that you have the easiest access to other videos such as these. And the biggest thing you guys can do is to share these videos and share this channel. If you're a parent and you know of kids, your kids, any kids who all they do is spend all of their time on the basketball court pounding away on their joints, share this video with them. Let them know that they may not feel it now because they're young, but they are being detrimental to their body and their future career as basketball players by putting that kind of wear and tear on their body, and they don't even realize it. Share this video with anybody who overdoes it on the basketball court. I'm all for spending as much time out here as possible, but that time does not have to be spent punishing your body. There's ways to grow and improve your game without exhausting yourself and running your body into the ground, and the more people I can reach with that message, the better. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.
Said I should've known back then, man, that I wasn't gonna stop. Cause even then I was infatuated with just sitting at the top.